Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games, craft beer, and dancing when there's no music playing. It's episode 254. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with, mixed up a little bit, Aadil.
Oh my god, it's me!
And...
Not Warren G.
No, that's true. And Lucy.
Also not Warren G. Because he's dead, isn't he? Or is that... No,
Nate Dogg's dead.
Nate Dogg's dead.
Warren G may still be kicking, so...
I haven't heard anything.
He's probably, doing his stuff. He's probably like a producer now and earning all that money.
Absolutely. We are
probably
podcast...
producing mumble rap. Rubbish.
We're not a podcast about mumble rap, Warren G, Nate Dogg, or even music in any way whatsoever. We're a podcast about drinking beers, talking video games. The three of us generally get together every week and crack a few beers open whilst we talk about the games we've played, the weekend games, any news, or whatever we'd like to talk about around video games. So we're going to kick straight into opening up some beers, as we do every week. Lucy, I'll come to you first. You had a few weeks off.
I did.
What are you up to tonight? What's going down?
I have two tonight, so I'll probably wake up with a headache tomorrow morning, but it'll be worth it.
Depends what they are.
And you two don't know what I'm drinking today, so this is live reactions.
There was a special beer.
Oh, the special beer.
It's the one that you
Amazing.
Yeah. I forgot all about that one. I'm sad that I didn't call it.
Yeah, I didn't want you lot to guess too much, because you probably would have guessed it somewhere. Yes, this is from Brew Co, which I've never had a beer from them before. This one is a blackcurrant, blueberry, and strawberry triple fruited sour. 6%. Where Brew from? Let's have a look. Middlesbrough.
Okay.
Up north.
A little bit up north, yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen them in the last few weeks drop in a few different places. Seeing them a bit more on the socials and in sort of like beer groups and people drinking them. And I think maybe 5 or 6 different beers perhaps that have appeared. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interestingly, this has got lactose in it, milk, vanilla, blueberry, blackcurrant, strawberry, oats, hops, and yeast.
In a sour?
Yeah. Yeah, because usually hear that in like the milkshake IPAs when you have like a lot of fruit and they throw the oats in and the lactose. This is a special release because Juicy Lucy is special.
Absolutely.
There's some flavor text. It says a perfect dry mild sour loaded with 350 kilograms of fruit, yet still lovely and light. The strawberry on the nose and the Madagascar vanilla help balance out the tartness of the blackcurrants, yet this beer has punnets of flavor that will blow you away. This one's young, refreshing beer in the style of a Berliner Weiss with a higher ABV. So yeah, 6%. So yeah, higher than your 4s that you probably expect from a Weiss. So yeah, just could be interesting. So
good. Aadil, we'll go with you next. What are you drinking first?
I'm drinking this beer.
Stella.
It's a Wiper True.
Oh.
It's a Wiper True and a Deya.
Oh, nice.
It is.
Is it the one with a little ant on the front, or is it not?
Well, so it has no. This whole collab series has no picture really, except for this. The Deya. I was gonna say dragon alligator.
One's mythical, one isn't.
So it's Wiper True Collaboration Series 18. It is Plan D, a mixed fermentation India Pale Ale, IBUs are 18, 6.5% in a 440ml can. Hops are Citra, Simcoe, Motueka. The yeast is Deya house yeast. Escarpment Labs Brettanomyces D. The malts are extra pale and Munich (barley). So, it's a Wiper True Bristle collaboration with Deya, brewed in collaboration with our friends at Deya. This beer forms one half of a duo, a two-part study of the interactions between Deya's house yeast and approach to hopping combined with our own mixed fermentation techniques. This version uses a strain known colloquially as Brett D, selected by our brewers for its reputation of introducing a fruity cocktail of pineapple and red apple aromas. Over time, as the beer ages, if you manage to save it, expect to see additional complexity emerge, introducing an assertive kick of that characteristic Brett funk. Best before 11/06/21. It's batch 1. I've managed to save it for, I think, 4 days.
Okay. Nice.
Impressive.
Because I thought this was actually in the corner shop down the street, which is one of the things I want to talk about. Just the availability of craft beer and how it's not just these supermarket series ones, but I'm just seeing more and more smaller stores carrying craft beer, especially here. I mean, this is a very Bristolian thing. But like, I'm just seeing craft beer casually on shelves in places I wouldn't expect it. Let alone like limited edition collabs. I mean, Wiper True are a local brewery, so I get it. But it was still just like, right, down the street you get your 4-packs of Stella, et cetera, and you get, you know, a range of arbors and the odd Wiper True, one, you know, the usual standards. And then it was like, also this. And I was like, oh, I didn't even have to seek this out after seeing it, you know, on Instagram or whatever. Great. Now I'm going to have to find part 1. But meanwhile, while I pour this, Ben?
Well, talking about various elements there, the beer I've got tonight, both beers, are from a new shop for me. A place which is a newsagent's, but it's called News and Booze, right? And you go in, there's a lot of booze. There's a lot of booze in there, a lot of specialty kind of booze as well. You know, top shelf sort of like champagne bottles and stuff. I'd never been in there before, and my neighbour put me onto it and said they've got a reasonable amount of craft beer in there. I'm like, cool, I'll go and have a look. It's 5 minutes down the road. I had to go down that way anyway, so I dropped in. And the first beer I'm going to drink is one of those kind of the moment beers. Called, from Neon Raptor, You Have No Authority Here, which, just branding wise, is based on the Hansforth Parish Council meeting, which went viral when everyone just screamed at a woman called Jackie because she was there to be an authoritative figure and do stuff, and they all just screamed at her because old men on the council are children. So there we go. And it's also got the cat from the guy in America who couldn't take off the filter and said, "I'm not a cat." And everyone's just like,
right.
I mean, you're right. You're not a cat. But yeah, from Neon Raptor, it's a double dry hopped pale at 5.8%. There is a little bit of flavour text. Lay your hand, fourths, on our latest tropical New England IPA. Oh no, tropical and topical New England IPA. You have no authority here. Amarillo, Citra, Enigma, and Eldorado hops zoom together with loads of authority. Perfect for angry parishioners everywhere. And then just the standard ingredients and allergens on the back. So yeah, a random find in this new little newsagents that has a very good range of Bristol beers, but also a load from some from Neon Raptor, a load from Deya, some from Pomona Island as well. A load of really random places that they've managed to curate their selection from, and I had to queue to go in as well because it's not very big. It's quite a small sort of shop, but of the 4 people queuing, 3 of us were there to grab beers. So it's obviously known in the area for craft beers. So
not jealous at all. Yeah.
No, me neither.
Beers rain from the sky in Bristol.
Just lining the streets.
They do. Oh.
Lucy, we'll come back to you. How is the Juicy Lucy?
Can definitely smell a lot of that fruit, a lot of those red berries. It's very fragrant, as you'd expect. The amount of fruit that they packed in there. Yeah, it smells really good.
It looks like it's got this slight. It's not quite fully red. It's got a little kind of browny, orangey sort of hint in there as well. At least on the camera.
Yeah, thick as you like. Completely opaque. Sorry, I had a sip and I was like, ooh. And then I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, better than me. I usually don't even have a thing to say, let alone one to forget.
That is really nice. I think those oats and the lactose really bring it full circle. It's not too tart. It's actually quite sweet. So if you're averse to sours, this certainly wouldn't put you off.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like how the oats and the lactose just round off that flavour. It's like it's very punchy with that fruit, and then it's sort of pared back by that lactose and oats. But on the finish, you are getting like this bitter fruitiness. I'm not going to say grapefruit. It's like, you know, when you've had a slightly sour, slightly bitter blackcurrant or something, or a strawberry. It's like, okay, this isn't the sweetest, this isn't the ripest, but, you know, just slightly sour. But that's really nice. It's like it's got a nice thickness, nice density to it, which you wouldn't expect from a sour, especially a Berliner Weiss. But it's like this is what I'd like milkshake IPAs to taste like, but they're usually a bit too sweet, a bit too yeah, a bit too. They don't taste authentic. Almost, they almost taste a bit like. They taste like what Tiny Rebels beers taste to me these days.
Yeah,
but,
that sort of fake estery, imitation milkshake, or like imitation fruit, imitation milk. Yeah, like something. It's very easy for these milkshake IPAs to, just not quite do what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Whereas this, I mean, you're not going to get that beery taste from it. It's not like, okay, I want a beer. I'm gonna sit down and, you know, drink this Juicy Lucy. It's sort of like, was it last year? Not last year, last week, Aadil, that you had a beer and he said it doesn't really taste like a beer. It was that weird one. It wasn't the.
Oh, it was 2 weeks ago. The one that looked like.
Oh, the Corfu Food Advisor.
Yeah. I
The
think.
notepad works. Is it that one? It was one where he said, like, it was one of his.
Had tzatziki in it. I didn't have tzatziki in it, but that was like one of the adjuncts, wasn't it, for it?
No, that one I thought I liked because it still somehow managed to be beery.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever it was.
Previous week, I know which one. I know what you are referring.
There was also so last week there was a Pomona Island. The answer is within the question or something as well. I don't remember that one.
It could have been 3 weeks ago, knowing me.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
It was one that was like very non-beery.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I remember the sentiment.
But this is just a very good drink. It tastes good. Like, as I say, that it just rounds out that flavor profile with the oats and the lactose. It gives it like almost a bigger depth to it. And I just think the amount of fruit that they must have packed in there, because I'm still getting that like fruity taste aftertaste. It shows. So, you know, they didn't use any puree. It looks like they just used, you know, full on fruit, and it pays dividends because, really getting that. The Juicy Lucy didn't disappoint.
Good.
That's a really nice beer.
Good. As always, Lucy.
Nice beer? I don't know. But
Juicy Lucy never disappoints.
Yeah,
it's true. It's unsurprising that way.
Nice. Aadil,
Very
how's the collab?
It looks like a classic Wiper and True beer. It's got that honey, slightly yellower than honey look,
Yeah.
but very hazy. On the pour, I immediately got what they were saying with the Brett D. I was getting pineapple off just from here, like, over a foot away. And then as soon as I started to nose it, I was getting fresh apples, kind of like
Okay.
if you just picked an apple off a tree and bit it, that like rush of smell you get off of, when suddenly the flesh of the apple is exposed. That's sort of what you're getting there with this sort of pineapple-y tropical undertone. It's a really, really, really nice smelling beer, but also because it's Wiper and True and Deya, like it's not like in your face, these notes. It's just very casually, this is what you can smell. Ooh.
Ooh.
So that Brett's doing some work underneath as well. A little bit of tartness, getting some of those same notes throughout. So smooth beer. Oh,
That looks like a very good beer. Just the look of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the sips I've had. It's just got like that tiny bit of head is just clinging to glass. Oh, this is such a well put together beer. It's an IPA. It's lightly tropical, but mostly just it's an IPA with a really nice bittering backbone. So you get that nice slightly tropical IPA start, and then it retreats a bit, and you get some bitterness. It's wet. How many percent is it? 6.5. It's wet. It doesn't feel like it's drying my mouth out, and that bitterness it leaves, and then there's a slightly appley sweetness afterwards, which is really good because that bitterness is there, and it's there being like, I am an IPA, I'm a beer, but it's not overstaying its welcome such that I'm wanting to like replace that bitterness because it's like, oh, my mouth is too bitter. Instead it yields a bit, and you get this appliness sort of taking over. God, it's just a good fucking beer. There's something else there. I'm kind of just distracted because I'm just enjoying the shit out of it. 6.5%. Yeah, so you can definitely tell the hops are there. Oh, that's there. Sorry, I was like, there's a thing I was thinking about when I looked at it. The malts are also, I think, what's helping that transition of those tastes from the bitter to that sort of sweet. Just got a little bit. They're really in the back seat, but I think they're doing some work just stitching those different tastes together. But yeah, I'm quite surprised at the sweetness that's slightly appley at times and slightly just generically sweet that is starting to come out as my palate gets used to everything else. I basically want to take that small size or medium sized sip for the rest of the beer because it's hitting every part of my mouth. It's doing these things. It takes a while for that to recede, and I'm like, that was very enjoyable. I would like to do that again. Yeah, it's like a medium size, please, because bigger sips would kind of be a waste. Smaller sips won't hit every point. I really like how, because it's 6.5%, it does kind of, when you take a look, like a medium sized sip, swish it around your mouth, it does cling just a little more to the various parts of your mouth, so you can get the different tastes coming through everywhere. And yeah, I will stick by that slightly not tart bitterness, that just like that bitterness is lingers. It's not strong, but it's there the whole time, and it's really good. Yeah, it's just really good.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Cool. The Neon Raptor then. It's got a lovely nose. It's big. It is tropical. hard to tell. There's a few things in there. There's a lot of hops in this. So was there oats? There was oats. You just get that off the nose as well. Just that slight creaminess to it on the nose even. I'll sip some and then I can. Oh, that's nice. It's maybe a tad orangier than Aadil's. No head whatsoever.
I was going to say, it looks like it could be not carbonated from here.
It is quite flat. There's not much carbonation in there, but I'm getting orange. I'm getting a little bit of passion fruit. Getting a little bit of mango in there as well. It's very, very easy. So you're kind of presented with these flavors. They're all kind of going on at the same time. All of these tropical fruits are kind of in there, almost vying for attention, but they kind of culminate after several seconds, maybe even about 10 seconds, into sort of a unified flavor. So whilst your brain is processing all of these different flavors going on, suddenly it clicks and goes, okay, this is like it's got a good solid flavor to it. And there's lots of stuff going on, but the combination of those is very, very nice. And whilst it doesn't have any carbonation to it, it is very smooth. It does have a little bit of creaminess to it. It's only 5.8%, so it's quite it's quite light, but you don't get that from the body of it. It doesn't come across as thin at all. The oats are doing probably most of the heavy lifting in that sort of regard, unless there's other malts in there, because it doesn't specify what there are, adding extra into that as well. It's definitely brewed to push those hops and the flavour combination of those. It does get a little bit not quite sour, but it has this not quite a critic sort of sweetness to it, but there's just something, there's a slightly off sweetness in there, and I think it's just the combination of those tropical fruits coming together to give you that. But it's very, very light, and it's not present much at all. I just sort of pick it out, and only really when all of those flavors come together as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe that's obviously everyone picks things up slightly differently, that someone was able to pick out maybe a softer sort of stone fruit in there as well, something maybe a bit more kind of peachy perhaps as well. There's a slight softness that creeps in towards the end when all of these flavors combine as well. So it's nice, a little dry, flavor doesn't stick around for a huge amount of time. Again, that's fine for a 5.8, for something a little bit lighter, for a pale, to go back to it quite quickly, to refresh and get a bit more of that flavour and enjoy all of those fighting each other to then just suddenly come together to make something very, very nice.
Three hitters.
Yeah.
Pretty good ones.
I did have I had another beer from Neon Raptor a couple of weeks ago, and that was again very nice, very easy drinking, nothing kind of hugely out there or notable enough for me to tell you guys about, I suppose, but it was just a very easy, very nice drinking beer.
They're always like really highly rated, Neon Raptor, and it's like I don't know if I found that beer from them where it's like, just really knocked my socks off.
I think a lot of the time
I enjoy their beers.
What was that? Sorry, man, I didn't quite catch.
I think it's they're quite highly rated for their stouts, but I've never had a stout from them. I think there's stuff like Centaur Army and stuff like that. There's a few names that kind of come to mind that are stouts from these guys.
I always associate them with like IPA, so maybe that's why because I'm sure I've had a stack from them. I couldn't tell you the name, but yeah, like it's one of those where it's like maybe I should seek them out more and educate myself more. It's like Burnt Mill for me as well. Like really highly rated, but I'm just like solid beer, nothing too crazy, nothing that I remember. So yeah.
That's fair.
I'm sure every brewery has one of those beers where it's like, this is one of the best stouts, or
absolutely,
or you know, Neepas or West Coast IPAs, whatever. So.
And it's always different for everyone, isn't it? Like, there's a couple of Burnt Mill that I've had which are fantastic, which I rate really, really highly. There was a Burnt Mill last year, which was one of my favourite beers of last year. And it just, you've got to catch that beer. You know, if you don't get one of those in the limited run that they do, and you just kind of got to wait until they brew it again, or they may never brew it again, and you just missed that moment from them. And then everything else is good. You're like, yeah, solid brewery, cool. But yeah, and again, everyone's tastes are different, aren't they? So what I think is fantastic, you guys might sit there and go, yeah, it's good, cool.
Sure.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot.
But what I do have an appreciation for is the New Bristol. Is it New Bristol Brewery? Is that what they're called? I always want to say New Bristol Beer Factory. The New Bristol Brewery.
New Bristol Brewery and Bristol Beer Factory.
I do that all the time. I'm like, you know, the one with 2 B's in the acronym. Fuck, which one? Yeah. Oh, they should really do an NBBF collab.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying about them, though.
I had the Cinder Stout on on the weekend, and yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Couldn't tell it was 10%.
Right?
It very much smelled like a crunchy bar, but I think the taste was, you know, thankfully a bit pared back from that, because it's like, if that was just a crunchy bar, it'd probably be way too sweet. But yeah, very, very malty, very biscuity. It was really nice. And I had a dipper from them as well. 8.5%. Gosh, what was its name? I'd have to look. But yeah, really enjoyed that one too.
Nice.
So I'll be seeking them out.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Was it this one?
Does it say time on it?
Twice Upon a Time.
Yes, it's that one. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one I had.
I'm saving that one for next week. I swapped
Good,
it out.
yeah.
But
I look forward to hearing what you think. I don't want to put thoughts in your mind. Yeah, but it was really, really piney. And I was like, this is just very piney, very bitter, and I really liked that. So yeah.
Excellent. The one thing I want to add to my beer, I thought I said it and I realized I didn't. Stone fruit. And that's actually the stone fruit peachiness is the missing flavor I was saying. I was like, oh yeah, it's just really good. It's not too tropical. It's the stone fruit sort of at the core. Hey.
Do they have?
That's doing a lot of the work.
Course.
I mean, yeah,
they have a stone in it.
Core.
Yeah, but it's like, is that core or is it just the stone?
It's at the core. It might not be a core.
Okay, interesting.
Because like an apple core is essentially like a pocket.
Just
of
the
air.
seeds in it. Yeah.
But,
I will have to Google this because I'm really interested. Do peaches have cores?
That's the takeaway from this evening.
Anyway,
don't worry about playing any of the games we're going to talk about. Just Google fruit cores.
Yep. Welcome to Core Talk.
The anatomy of a peach.
That could go.
That's
yeah, true.
Very true.
Humans have peaches and cores.
Let's talk about some video games. Let's talk about video games. I started last week, so I'm going to defer and chat later because I haven't got a game. I sort of have, but I've got more of a kind of discussion around something. So, who would like to kick off? Lucy, have you been busy playing games? Aadil, have you been busy playing games? Who's been busy playing games?
Yeah, I'll kick off. I don't mind. I play quite a few games.
Okay.
Nice.
Just finishing things up mostly. Finished Curse of the Monkey Island after.
Yeah.
I think Metropolis broke a bit of my soul, and it broke the
no.
internet and everything. It just broke everything. So yeah, Curse of the Monkey Island. That game still really holds up from 1997, and I think it's the best out of them. Like just because it's like I think it benefits from the technology at the time, like extra colors, animation, voice acting. I just think even though it didn't have the original writers on it, I still think it's like true to what those games were. And it probably is my favorite out of all of them. But yeah, really enjoyed that. What else? I finished Sinker 2 finally.
Nice.
I was just having a weekend off, lying in bed, and I was like, I just feel like playing something whilst listening to a podcast and something. Sinker 2, really good. Oh, I can't remember. I think it might have been Play, Watch, or Listen, or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alana Pierce's podcast. So
I kind of stopped listening to that one.
I stopped too, yeah. And so I just binged like 3 or 4 of them in the last on one day. I was
Oddly enough,
I should catch up.
I did exactly the same last week.
Yeah.
I just binged the last 3 episodes. I think like on Thursday of last week.
Since like the start of the year, so I was just like, I'll just scrap the older ones and just like let me just listen to some of these.
You know how freeing is that when you're like, fuck it, I'll just Marcus read everything past before this and just be like a couple episodes behind, or even just current one.
It really is, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a healthier approach to podcasts.
And video games.
Obviously, not our podcast.
Yeah, I was waiting for that setup.
You listen to every single one. Yeah.
And if you haven't, if you're fucking new, go back to episode 1 where we talk about a game that doesn't matter, and we were real clunky about it. And I wasn't even there, and Lucy wasn't even there. You better fucking listen.
Yeah, it really is. Because I've just let so many things just, slip by the wayside because I'm working a bit more. So it's just like, I don't have time to listen to this. It's like, especially in COVID time where it's like, or if it's even like before COVID time, it's like this was 6,000 million years ago. They're in an office recording this.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter anymore. Their troubles about commuting or something. It doesn't really matter anymore. It's like if that was, like the world's moved on.
The flip side for that is I almost always started my podcast listening for the day via commuting, like walking 20 minutes to a coffee shop or the university back when I worked there. And yeah, if it was a good episode, I would burn the next 45 minutes to an hour after the commute, continuing to listen, pretending to work.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing on the way home, right? But without the commute, it's like my brain just doesn't like whatever. I used to listen to multiple podcasts a day at the height of things. And for whatever reason, just like getting up and puttering about and be like, oh, what should I do? It's just that little bit of my brain that's like, podcast. Hey, Dale, podcast. Yeah. Podcast is dead. It's just fucking dead. Like lockdown just suppressed all those urges. Now it's like, oh right, I listen to basically We Hate Movies, a bad movie podcast. That's my regular podcast. Oh, and all the things we offer here on Out of Lives.net. I don't. I edit one of them. I'm on the other one. Even when I'm not on, I don't listen. I'm pretty bad about that.
Yeah, same. It's just weird how I usually go through like spots where it's like, okay, now I'm into this podcast and I'll listen to this exclusively, or this is one of my
the backlog.
Or not even go through the backlog. It's like I'm going to tune into this every week for the next 3 or 4 months, and something else falls by the wayside. I think the only consistent ones I really listen to is like the Giant Bomb ones. Other than that, because it's usually just old men screaming about video games and how they suck, and that's very true to me. But yeah, other ones it's just like
those fuckers,
they
right?
rotate. Yeah, they just rotate. It's like it's weird. Yeah, weird. Anyway, yeah, Sinker 2. Perfect podcast thing. Very
Nice.
good puzzle game.
Nice.
I will just
quickly say, if you do want to support podcasts, any show that you don't get a chance to, just downloading their episodes weekly, having it on your subscribe list helps. But also, I've a couple of the smaller podcasts that I do listen to, which I haven't had time to listen to their episodes. I've gone onto their YouTube and I've hit Q and then just played the queue and just had my headphones out because I'm too busy working, but just give them a bit of support in some sort of way and bump the stats up for them a little bit, I suppose. You know, things like Play, Watch, Listen and bigger podcasts, they're not going to, you know, my one little view or listen doesn't matter too much. But if there are smaller podcasts, it's definitely good to just chuck them that extra little view, even if you aren't able to view it as such. So
yeah, especially when they're conveniently on Spotify.
True.
Min-Max, I'll throw that one out there. That's gaming from folks. I really enjoy that. But yes, good point, Ben. Yeah, I mine just download automatically, and then I run out of space on my phone, and it's like, oh, Overcast is taking up 13 gigs. And it's like, oh yeah, that's because I've downloaded them all. Didn't delete them.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, now it's even before I have like 5 gigs of data or 2 gigs of data, multiple gigs of data, and I used to just be so used to, like, in Canada, data's so expensive, so much of my life was like download thing, go, and I realized my habits were just not using the amount of bandwidth that was allowed, and so like since maybe 2017, 2018. I don't download podcasts or anything unless I know I'm like going on a plane, and I just stream them because I'm usually, especially when I was like at the university, right? It's like Wi-Fi bubble at home, walk for 20 minutes, Wi-Fi bubble at university,
and Wi-Fi bubble at the pub.
Yeah, and a lot of pubs have Wi-Fi bubbles, exactly. Although I don't listen to podcasts much at the pub.
No, but sometimes if I'm like there on my own, just having a drink or something, I might just stick in a headphone or something.
And then, like, if I feel like I've been doing that a lot, it's like, oh, I'm in one of these places. I'll download this episode I'm in the middle of. And that's worked really well. And now, of course, I look at my usage, and it's like, why am I paying so much for my phone data? It's like, you've used 3 kilobytes. That one time you took the trash out while listening to music, and it was just outside of your router range, so Spotify flipped. Other than that, no, it's just... You might I need to change mine.
Yeah, I need to change mine because O2 was always like asking, like, do you want more data? And it's like, no, but it said it doesn't cost you anything because it's so cheap now. It's like, I was like, okay, give me the 5 gigs. I use it is probably like in the kilobytes, it's like probably even the megabytes now. But yeah, I meant like storage on my phone, storage rather than data. But yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah, just
like, why am I paying for this? Oh, it's fine. I like tangents.
Big fan of trigonometry, this one.
Yes. The sines and the cosines and all that crap.
I'll cosine the like of tangents.
Oh, very good.
Well, she played Lucy.
Like, hey, fuck off. Stop your phone jokes. They're not good enough.
One of the codes I recently got, and getting through those games, like, got a list there. Room to Grow is still, I mean, in my head, I just can't take those kinds of puzzles right now. So I started playing a game called Journey to the Broken Circle. Puzzle platformer. Who would have thought Lucy plays those? But I think it's out. I think it's been out on PC, but I think it's out on console. It might be this week. I thought it was last week, but it might have got delayed till this week. Playing it on Xbox. It's also on it's their Play Anywhere thing, so I can just play on PC as well, which is fantastic. I love that.
All the old games were like that.
I know, because I know the last game I'll talk about does that as well. But yeah, I'm probably about halfway through it. It's not actually doing too much different. It's kind of tropey in some ways. You're playing this. He basically looks like Pac-Man. My sister walked into my room as I was playing it, and she was like, is that legal? Can you just rip off Pac-Man's look?" And I said, "It's different because this circle, even though he's got like a wedge cut out of his mouth, and looks like Pac-Man. He's white, not yellow, and he doesn't go waka 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 waka. So and there's no ghost yet. So
he's not Fozzie Bear.
For sure, you were gonna say he's got a bow on his head. I'm like, what?
What they've done is they've taken the bow and they've moved it down just underneath the mouth.
In bow tie.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. Can you imagine just literally not even like moving it, just like 180ing on the on the axis, Miss Pac-Man. So like the eyes are like awkwardly here, and you're like, yeah, it's a new character, man. It's Monsieur Pac.
Well, it's not an arcade game; it's a platformer. So look, the character looks like Pac-Man, but that's just surface level. But yeah, you platformer moving from left to right. When I was saying it was very tropey, it's got this kind of the circle talks, and he's basically not whole. He's looking for this wedge that somehow fallen out of them. I imagine this goes somewhere by the end of the game, but it is very tropey, and it's that like, oh, I'm not whole as a person. It has like suggestions. I don't even know if I can say suggestions, or should I say overt suggestions and references to like mental health and stuff like that. There's even this like grey black blob monster that chases after you, and that's the embodiment of you. It's not really doing anything different in that sense, and I don't think it's very much telling these kinds of stories in a compelling way. So I'd say probably where it is slightly different is in the gameplay and its platforming. You are just starting out as a circle that just rolls. You can jump because it's a platformer, and then on your journey so far I've met two different characters, and one is basically this pine cone that can stick onto walls. So it's basically like you're parkouring up walls, you're sticking to it and stuff to surfaces. And then after they left me because they couldn't stand this stupid circle, which is the whole part of the why doesn't anybody like me? Why are my relationships, why are they falling apart? And this whole that whole dynamic is there
an emo soundtrack to it as well?
No, the soundtrack is actually pretty nice. It's kind of funky. It's not what you'd expect. You'd probably expecting like this very melancholic, sad, violin strings kind of thing.
Yeah, lots of pianos.
With a platformer that's trying to tell this kind of emotional story. But no, it's got this like kind of jazzy, interesting, kind of quirky music to it, which is nice. But yeah, the second character I met is basically they're like this bush, and you basically get into their bush, and you can like stick to walls, you can like roll up walls and stuff like that. So yeah, God knows where it's gonna go next.
Just this, like an arm with a big thing on the end.
Yeah, I think this circle's trying out things though. Fair play.
That's fair.
They're discovering things, yeah.
So it's good sticky bush content.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like it's doing slightly original things with its platforming. So it's like I'll see where it goes. It's pleasant enough. It seems kind of short. I'm probably about halfway through it, and I probably played less than 2 hours. So it's probably about a 4-hour game. I'll see where it goes. But yeah, it's enjoyable. You just want to turn your brain off, and not, who knows, this story might gel with somebody. It's just, I think it's a bit rote. I've seen it before, and it's not doing it in a compelling way. So
that's fair.
But I'm interested to see where the rest of this Pac-Man circles wedge. I want to see where the wedge fell out.
It's just upright somewhere, and you have to try and roll perfectly onto it to get him down.
I genuinely hope that's the end of the game. But, hope this little circle happiness. So
it's like, the last level is like down well, and you've just got to try and navigate your way through things to then land exactly in that little spike, in that little wedge.
But there's collectible mushrooms, and there's like you open up a bonus level that's called Good Trip and Bad Trip, which is just a little bit more psychedelic. So this game is tonally a bit all over the place because like this circle talks in very like almost Night in the Woods kind of like teenage tech speak, but not as good as Night in the Woods in that sense. But yeah, as I say, it's short enough. I'll see where it goes. It takes a lot to do something different with platforming. The platforming doesn't feel bad. It's perfectly serviceable. So yeah, I'm more intrigued about what extra gameplay elements that they'll add to it. So
nice, cool. And there's another Play Anywhere game.
Oh yeah, you said 2 things.
Yes. Won't talk about it much because Ben, you've already talked about it. But I played Alba.
Oh, nice.
A wildlife adventure. Really enjoyed that. It's very sweet and very, very, very pleasant. I played it on Apple Arcade, and I was switching between my iPhone and my iPad. It was like,
how does it?
I 100%ed it.
How does it compare? Because I played it on PC, so
it runs really well on Apple Arcade. Because sadly, a couple games that I have played on Apple Arcade have run poorly, and it's like I just want to, toggle in this, maybe lower the resolution a bit, just cap the frame rate or something, but can't do that with Apple Arcade because it's such a closed system for God knows why. But yeah, a lot of
phone, Lucy.
It's I got a new phone. It was a used iPhone 8, and that's good enough for me. It was the only reason I didn't have the the only reason I didn't have the 6 Plus, because I would have played it on that, is because it didn't,
Run.
What is it, iOS 13? Literally can't download anything on it, so you can't download Apple Arcade. Yeah, but it runs really well. It's us 2 games, so they've been making pretty much exclusively Apple games, so they probably know the tech better than anybody else. But really, really sweet, wholesome game, and I've never been more excited to get like a recycling bag in a game so I can pick up trash. I was like, you're leaving all this trash on the floor. What are the dolphins?
Entirely, let alone being excited about it.
But on like the 4th day, when you get given a recycling bag, I'm like, yes, I can pick up all the trash.
It's very satisfying, especially because it's quite slow paced and quite chilled. It's like just go and take some photos of some birds, hang out, save the nature reserve. Just just a kid hanging out on the island at their grandparents' place. It's meant to be quite sort of relaxing, and you can take it quite slowly. It never pressures you into being like, go to the next day. You could just wander the island and take photos and stuff. And,
I took a few photos of sunsets. So it is very, very kid-like. Cause it's like, save the rec center. It's like, of course, the petition with 50 people is gonna, get the mayor to change his ways. Who, this corrupt mayor. That was probably the most real part of the game, where it's like, yeah, the mayor's corrupt, but he absolutely would not have just. Sorry, I'm spoiling the whole game. He would absolutely not just be like, come clean and be like, yeah, sorry, I failed. He would never happen. He'd be like, all right, I've taken my money. I'm gonna go to some remote island where nobody can find me.
See ya.
Yeah, bye. Oh yeah, we're building an oil tanker right off the coast or something like that. It's just yeah, but it's very wholesome. It's like, yeah, I think this would be great for kids. You know, Ben, did you ever think of getting E to play it? Or
I have. I think it's a little bit too much for her at the moment, but maybe when she was maybe sort of in a couple of years, about 6 or 7, it would be the perfect game for her to play. You know, she loves nature, she loves birds, so tick number 1. It's got really sort of simple control scheme. Tick number 2, it's colourful, it's bright, it's not a simple aesthetic, but it's a very distinctive yet easy to pass kind of aesthetic. It is bright and colourful. There's no like browns everywhere, and it's not gritty and dirty and dusty. It is just a little bit slightly cartoony. So yeah, it would be perfect.
Like the art style, a bit of it, especially when you're like making Alba nod and shake her head, which is really cool. Really enjoyed that part. Sort of like Magic Roundabout kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like
what's Magic Roundabout?
Google it. It was that ever over it? I think it was a French cartoon that got translated into English. It was very popular over here in the 80s.
No, early. That's going to be 70s, surely.
70s, yeah.
Dougal and his mates.
Like that kind of like very round doll face looking, bit shiny, like kind of look to the character. So yeah, I really, it just brought those memories back. So,
yeah, it has. I said cartoony, but it's probably closer to sort of almost like a toy aesthetic, really. Yeah,
it's like toy, yeah. But that's pretty much me for the week. I tried to start Mario Galaxy, and because I got that collection for Christmas, because I didn't want Nintendo to, I didn't want my blood money to get in those grubby little mitts. But I don't like Mario Galaxy. I don't know what people like about it.
Oh, I love that game.
Wait, which one's Galaxy?
The bad one.
Galaxy was the first Wii game. Yeah.
Yeah, I played it with a partner of mine, conveniently the partner I had at the time, and
it would have been very awkward if it was a previous partner that you played it with.
Or a future partner. And she like didn't really play video games, but was like, I'll give the Wii a shot. She really liked like Rock Band and Wii Sports, and was like, I will try your hobby out. And I was like, well, let's do this. And you could be the Mario, or you could be the weird extra player that just like makes things not move for a time. That's right? Like it's like a point and a confuse an enemy secondary control.
I can't remember. Yeah.
They've put most of the those mechanics on the joystick now, or just the touchscreen on the Switch. I don't like how it's like the platforming is basically navigating and finding out, what moves me, up and down when you've basically switched gravity, and I just don't find that fun. It's like Mario 3D Marios and 2D Marios are very different design philosophies. One is go find these stupid stars, or how about you play a proper game and see if you can actually, do these platforming challenges. So I guess if you like your baby games, then yes, you're gonna like 3D Mario. Whereas, this is the only time I'm gonna be like elitist and gatekeepery in like terms of video games ever, but 2D Mario's are better. Like, no context.
I mean, I'll just say that I prefer them, and I agree with you.
Objectively, they're better.
I mean, so one of the things that I never had an N64, so I never really played a 3D Mario until, I guess, Submachine Gun. Well, no, my first 3D Mario was Submachine Gun. Now that I realize that's what the acronym is, and that makes me kind of happy. Super Mario Galaxy. It's like the least effective SMG at getting rid of your enemies.
I'll try and go back.
I mean, I didn't finish it, and that was because the aforementioned partner at the time kind of got bored with it. Like, there were the beginning of that. From what I remember, the beginning of that game was like, okay, there's some awkward platforming that the standard hand the controller over, please get rid of this, then hand it back to me. And then at some point in the game, it was like, how about I just don't ever pick up the controller? And then I was kind of, I think part of it was like I was not resigned to, but like the flow with that game was, I'm there to like support my partner and play a little, but like kind of just be there and enjoy someone else playing the game. When they stopped, I hadn't really been the primary player for the first, third, 2/3. So it was kind of like, I don't have an attachment to finish the save file, but also there's that weird thing where it's like, well, maybe you'll go back to it. So I shouldn't. But I'm definitely not starting a new save file. So I guess your clip's empty.
Yes.
I strangely had a similar experience with Super Mario Galaxy in that my younger brother, it was one of the first video games he really played. He's 15 years younger than me, roughly. So he was quite young when it released. And I had a similar experience in being that support role, sitting back and watching him play and doing the harder bits for him, and then giving it back to him so he could just run around and play and stuff. So yeah, and we ran through the whole game together and completed it, which is probably why we never played Galaxy 2, because he'd moved on to older games. I'd moved away. I didn't go back quite as much and stuff, so didn't have that same experience to pick up a similar sort of game. So.
Well, yeah, I can see how that would just enrich the experience more. But I hope I change my mind. I might go back to it, but right now I'm just like, this is worse than that Mario U game. At least that had proper platforming. So I feel bad for whichever family member bought me that game. I might have to get them a very expensive birthday present just to atone for myself, so I don't burn in hell.
Exactly.
I don't want to play any of these games.
Make sure you get it from a nice independent shop as well, so all of that blood money that they spent can be put back into the community in some good way.
I will.
You're doing a great job, Ben, on reminding people to. Is this boycott Amazon week? And I just missed it.
I think it actually is. No, it actually is boycott Amazon week.
I realized, I don't think that's why you're doing it, but it's like, you're right. Like, local game shop, local beer shop, local anything shop, and also local blood money.
If you're buying drugs, buy them locally.
Speaking of blood money, remember when you're on the intellectual dark, if you're on the dark web and you need to hire a hitman, shop local. That mechanic down the road, he needs to pay his bills. Don't hire that guy from the super secret organization just because he'll get the job done efficiently. Do you really need a hitman that guarantees 100% perfect plan, or just need someone kinda dead? If it's kinda dead, you don't have to worry. Shop local.
And also the guy down
is still better than 50.
Yeah, and the guy down at the mechanics, he's got no hair either. so it's fine. He looks the part.
I'm glad you picked up the mechanic reference.
But will he dress up as a flamingo? That's how I want my target today.
That's an extra £10.
Yeah. But yeah, because I didn't like Mario Galaxy, I just started playing Castlevania, one of the Game Boy ones.
Oh, nice.
I was just like, yeah, let me sing some of this into my veins for the next. That's what I've been doing. It's like, why don't I just stay up till 1 a.m. and play and grind
Every day.
so I can fight death, who is always the worst enemy in any Castlevania game.
The worst enemy in any game, I think, probably.
Agreed. Yeah, but yeah.
Should we open up some more beers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on.
Lucy.
I'm Castlevania. Sorry.
I have a second glass. I don't even have to rinse this.
Nice.
Week. I can actually hear you guys talk for this bit where someone says something about their beer, and I have to be like, seconds later, I bet that beer is great. I wish I knew what it was.
Lucy, what are you going to drink? Tell everybody.
Yeah. Despite saying multiple times that I'm not a massive fan of Brew York's IPAs. I think their strengths are in their stouts. I still buy the IPA. So more for me, but I thought this one was quite topical, and this one's called Mash Bandicoot.
Nice.
It's got a Bandicoot on it, which looks nothing like Crash.
Smash.
For obviously legal reasons, but it's a genuine Bandicoot. On the can. This is a 5% Mosaic Pale Ale, so it had Mosaic in it. So I was like, hopefully this will move the needle and be on my good side.
Yeah.
Not going to try and read it because, as I say, orange text on a cream background. I can say that their little diagram, their little Venn diagram, their little,
little web
diagram. Yeah, the little hexagonal diagram of what it's going to taste like in terms of fruitiness, sweetness. It's basically in the middle. It doesn't really have any overwhelming flavor profile that seems to mask the others. As I say, can't see any of this crap. It's got Simcoe and Mosaic. I'll read that. Yeah, 5%.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Aadil, what have you got next?
A beer.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I missed. Yeah, I was gonna say the thing. I'm like, I don't remember what I grabbed. Oh, right, it's this one. This one's really, really exciting to me. So I have not ever had anything from Pentrich Brewing.
Yeah.
Pentrich.
Pentrich, and that's not the twiddling your pen thing.
Yeah, is that with a CH at the end or
the CH? So they are from Pentrich, Derbyshire.
Well, it's not tantric, so no interest.
But anyway, so it's. I will say that both the type of beer and the name of the beer really sold it for me because it is called Welcome to the Bleak. That is how I was feeling.
Well,
but it's 7.6% smoked porter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that really sold me. I haven't had a smoked porter in donkeys. It has water, barley, wheat, oats, hops, and yeast. It is 440ml can. It was canned on November 30th, 2020. Best before November 30th, 2022, which seems like a wide berth.
That's a long time.
2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's 7.6%. I'm not sure. Or they just, it's hard to tell whether I know some brewers prefer to give a shorter shelf life than is like legally required or whatever.
It's water to last, like shipped over to India. So.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of. I didn't notice the. That's why I actually read the best before, because I was thrown off by the 2-year window. But, yeah. Welcome to the Bleak. Yep. I mean, welcome to. I wish I was just joining the Bleak. Pentrich Brewing. We all have been in the Bleak for some time. You are late to welcoming us, but
That's true.
Yeah. So.
Woo! A pour on screen, a pixelated pour on screen. They've got a beer called
I've been pouring
Pixelated
on
something as well,
screen.
haven't they?
Sorry.
They've got a beer called Pixel something as well, haven't they, Pentrich?
Oh, maybe. I've been pouring on screen for the past few weeks.
Nice.
I keep forgetting that I pixelate for you because I'm like, oh, I could rip those pores later. And ooh, I know that type of tin.
I've got a beer from Good Chemistry.
Oh,
Also found down at the local newsagents. This is called Love Unlimited. It is a 6% chili chocolate stout. Interestingly enough, on the bottom of the can, the best before date is also in 2022, the 11th of February 2022. And I know this was brewed roughly around early February as a kind of Valentine-y kind of beer, essentially.
But that's a year, right? Not 2.
Oh shit, we're in 2021.
Yeah, so that's why this is strange, right? Because it's November 2020 to November 2022, and yours is
shit. It's only
February
a year.
20, yeah. That's you are confirming the thing I was saying.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that, Ben.
You
I
should.
appreciate you.
That's what I meant to do. Good Chemistry give us a reasonable amount of information. Theory: the flavor network describes how opposite and contrasting flavors complement each other. Sure. Pairings are Glodine, Linda, and Diane. The stats: OG 1.061. The FG is 1.014, 55 IBUs. It does tell me our 300th guile deserves something big, something fun, and something to keep you warm on a cold winter evening. Ancho chilies and chocolate in a rich, decadent stout. It tells me it is 21% hoppiness, 61% maltiness, 48% bitterness, and 68% sweetness. So, nice, big, sweet, malty, chili, hot stout for me. And a lovely, lovely pink can. I can't get how pink it is. It looks purple on the screen, but it is very, very pink. Not like electric pink, like baby pink.
I bought a beer that I'll probably have on the podcast. Maybe when I'm feeling brave. It's got chilies. It's got a chili stout. And, I'm looking forward to that one. Who knows? I might just drink it on the weekend because very much looking forward to that. But
nice.
We'll see.
We'll come back to you, Lucy, for the Brew York.
Yeah, it smelled really nice as I poured it. Get my nose in there. Yeah, it's got. It's. I'm trying to sort of smell it. It reminds me of a certain brewery's beers that smell.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very fruity, very light. It's definitely the mosaic coming off it. Oh, it smells good. I think it's almost like it smells like old school cloud water almost.
Okay.
It's that very light, fresh, fruity citrus fruit smell. It's got a bit of a danky, weedy smell as well. So once you sniff it enough, it's not quite opaque. It's very cloudy.
Yeah.
Probably orangey colour, bit golden. Yeah, I'm getting a very danky, weedy smell now. But yeah, still remnants of that like almost orange peel smell. That's nice.
Okay, good.
It's it's very light in body. It's only 5%, so expected. Yeah, definitely getting a bit of that dankness and that dank, weedy, aftertaste as well. So that's interesting. Yeah, there's basically no carbonation on it. It's very still, but it doesn't taste flat. It still tastes like
nice.
The flavors are coming through, and that they're not just sitting there and just not underwhelming.
It's not just been poured at room temperature and left to sit.
Yeah. I mean, it's been out for a while, but I don't think the lack of carbonation is due to that. I just think it is just a bit more understated. It's not too hoppy. It's it's very still, very 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 delicate, very gentle. And because you don't have much of that carbonation, it just goes back so quickly. I mean, going back 2 years when we had a summer, this would be like a really good summer drink. But I'm definitely getting that very dank and weedy
nice.
kind of taste and aftertaste. It's interesting. It's not. I wouldn't call it piney or like resinous. It's very dank, very very.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably getting that from like whatever. I don't usually get that from like Mosaic and Simcoe hops, so it feels like they've dry hopped it. Because you're definitely getting that kind of profile in the taste. So it's interesting. It's nice. It's probably one of the better pales that I've had from Brew York. It's still not blown my socks off. So I have yet to taste anything but a stout that I really really latch onto from Brew York.
That's fair.
I think it was an IPA, or it was either another pale from the weekend called Hast's Eagle. Very dry, very malty. That, to me, seemed more like the Brew York kind of pales, where it's like very dry, very malty, not very fruit forward. This is definitely different. Had usually. It's decent. It's nice. I can't say a bad thing about it. Maybe if you don't like that kind of very dank, weedy taste, then maybe avoid this. Because
give it a pass.
Yeah, because this is definitely like just smelling it. It smells like that as well.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Nice. Well, enjoy that one. Enjoy it.
Nice. It's probably the wrong time of year to have it. I've got a beer from Brew York. I think it's one of their Schmores stouts.
Oh,
it's like, I think that is what I'd have to close that night rather than this.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Aadil, we'll come to you for the Pentrich.
Yes, this is I mean, it looks like a flat cola. It is like not quite ebony in its darkness, but pretty close. It's quite dark. There's almost on the pour immediately, as you saw, there's just almost no carbonation. Also, I mean, I think it's my brain saying, "Oh, you said cola," but there's a hint of that slightly cola-y. What is that root that's in cola?
Cassava.
That note is slightly there. There's not a lot of smoke on there. It's a little bit sweet on the nose, but really, like, if I'm not right in it, almost no nose at all. Sorry, I'm still trying to. I didn't actually do a chaser of water, and I could still taste some sort of banana-y, peachy taste from the previous beer. But I'll just try and drown it out with this 7.6% smoke porter.
I'd imagine like the smoke would have, overwhelmed those fruity flavors.
You are correct. It is not super smoky, but I immediately noticed smoke, and I think it's covering up exactly, maybe not exactly, but like a lot of that. Oh, so that 7.6% is doing that thing that I want out of a stout and a porter, which is it's more viscous, thicker. It's coating my mouth. It's coating my tongue.
Nice.
All of that portery goodness is just hitting sort of on all sides, such that it itself doesn't have to be really smoke forward. It's not like hey, you're drinking. It's not like having a sip of Lagavulin or anything like that. Which, by the way, if you like smoke taste, a tiny sip of Lagavulin. That's like drinking smoke in tiny golden form. It's a whiskey. For those who don't know. This is still a beer.
I'm glad it hasn't turned into anything else.
It is. Wait for it. Wait. Still a beer. Dumb. Very dumb. So that's that stronger alcoholic taste is giving it a bit of a sweetness to the aftertaste. I really like so as a porter, it's got these roasted notes that are separate from the smoky taste. Those are pretty reserved, but the whole thing is actually quite kind of delicate. It actually reminds me of why I like say Wiper and True beers, is that they have these very distinct tastes that just aren't full force, because the whole thing is just kind of, you can do this really lightly, and if everything else is balanced lightly, then you can have these tastes that aren't like overwhelming your taste buds, and they're doing their thing. And thus far I feel like that's sort of what's going on, which is why it's coming off sweeter than I expected, because one of the things you can't control is just at a 7.6%, that alcoholic sweetness is going to come through at a certain level. Like, you can't pull that back when you have that ABV at a certain place.
Sure.
So it's a little sweeter than I thought, but then as soon as you get used to that, it's like, yes, this is a nice laid back but rich porter. And then on top of that is like almost like a smoky overlay, if that makes sense, or like a tent over top your picnic table. Like the smokiness is not interacting much with everything else. It's just kind of casting over top, which I thought maybe it would be like, here's the maltiness, here are the taste of the porter, and there's a smoky bit going on otherwise. But actually, this is very much like, here are all those things, and also there's smoke, which I wasn't quite expecting. And it's not a complaint. It's just sort of kind of unique. I thought sort of unique because I assumed it would be more stitched in, but also, given the fact that it's not, I'm surprised how well it works as sort of a standalone, for lack of a better term, taste that's going along, because it's still going along with it. It's just sort of, it's on one level, and the rest is on a sort of different level.
It's hard to turn that line when you have such a overwhelming flavor that's going into it. Like, some beers just absolutely get that right. I can't remember for the life of me, because it was several years ago, where I had a smoked porter, and it was literally like drinking the ash out of a cigarette tray, where it's like there's nothing else but the smoke. It's far too overpowering. But I've had like really nice ones. Like, I think Weird Beard do some good smoked porters, and it's like
yeah, I mean, I think the key here is that the smokiness is pretty, like, it's there, but it's light. Like, it's not it's not heavy-handed. That's what I want to say. It's not light. It's just not heavy-handed, and it allows the rest of the porter to have this like slightly more caramelly sweetness, just slightly. But overall, even that's kind of pulled back. I'm just mostly surprised that I was expecting a much more bold beer.
Yeah.
Because there's a smoked porter at 7.6%, and this is actually quite reserved, but yet not giving up the things I want out of a smoked porter at 7-ish%. It's just like, I'm sort of surprised that like it's doing all the things expected, but it's not heavy, I think, is the key. There's a distinct lack of heaviness, which I think for most people will be a good thing because again, it's not light; it's just not heavy. I guess.
Yeah.
I hope I'm being clear there, but yeah. Anyway,
No,
it's quite good. And like I said, it reminds me of Wiper True beers in that sense of you're doing these things and you're managing to do it in a very like calm, reserved way that's nuanced. You're not giving up parts of the flavor, and yet it's just not in your face in a way that most other beer brewers seem to have to do to get all the flavors that you're doing on board.
Yeah.
I think if there's any style where I'd want it understated rather than overstated, it is probably a smoke porter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Like, so
That is...
I'll wrap up with going off that. I could have 3 of these in a night, which I don't think I've ever said for a smoked porter, and I still would enjoy it as a smoked porter. Like that's
Yeah, because the smoked porter is like it is a very one-off. I'm gonna have one of these beers. Enjoy the flavor profile. It's like probably what you'd have at the end of the night.
yeah, and you could like.
Yeah, I'm feeling fancy. I'm gonna put me slippers on. Have me
chill
pipe.
out.
Have me smoked porter.
Yeah, and so this is why I'm quite intrigued by this, because you could just be like, I'm gonna relax and have this and maybe another one if I'm not like done, maybe a third, but like, yeah, it's like I want to sort of relax into this taste without having to commit to the end of
having
the night.
that being all I can taste for the rest of the night.
Yes.
Yes.
Like so I guess the other thing is I think I could switch to a different beer.
Okay, that's fair.
Because
It
it's
doesn't
not so
overpower you too
overwhelming.
much.
Yeah, so
good.
that's a missing piece I was looking for. I will now stop talking about this beer.
Well, we'll come to the Love Unlimited then. You definitely know that it's a chili chocolate beer from the nose. Absolutely. You get a more chocolate than chili from the nose, definitely. Some sort of roasted notes coming at you with this sweetness in that. And I know on the can it says that there's a lot of sweetness in it, and there definitely is, especially when you taste it as well. But this beer has a very slight issue for me, and it's a little bit thin. It's just a touch too thin, and that's just for me. I can imagine a lot of other people would not be fussed at all about that. But when you get that flavour, it's a lovely, lovely flavour. And like with yours, Adam, the smoke not overdoing it. The chili doesn't overdo it at all in this.
Excellent. That's what I was hoping
Yeah,
for.
the chili it's not a background flavour. It is there. It is present. And you know it exists. But it just supports this lovely, deep, dark, slightly bitter chocolate flavour. And it just gives a little bit of heat, and you feel it. You just get this light tingle on the tongue. You get this feeling on the top of the mouth. You know that the heat is there. And it is not quite a peppery sort of heat. It is a slightly sweeter kind of heat. It does feel like a chili pepper rather than it being just a hot flavour added into this. There is a little bit of sweetness with that as well. There is a little bit of sweetness as well coming through from some of the malts too. I didn't read off all of the ingredients. There's no lactose in here, so it's not too sweet. You are just getting that from the malts and a little bit from the chili as well. But it's a lovely combination of flavours. It's one I know we've talked about making chili before, and Aadil, you saying that chili is great to be able to throw various different things in, and you can chuck your chocolate in, you can chuck your chilies in, and all of these sorts of things. This balances those two flavours very, very well. So neither of them is too overpowering, and actually they're both quite not subdued but balanced. In that this isn't like, I love stouts. I'll hit a chili stout. Absolutely. This is something that I would think is very approachable in that kind of category. It's not a big stout. It's not going to be sort of too big for anyone. It's not going to be too bitter for anyone. But again, it's not going to be too hot in those chilies for anyone as well. It's not subdued. It's balanced. Balanced is absolutely the right word for this beer. And it's again another easy beer. It's only like 6%, yeah. So it just works very, very well. Very well balanced. I'd just like a little bit more body to it. Just a tiny bit more thickness in there. Not much, just a little bit more.
At least it isn't like, oh, we threw some motor oil and some chili oil and called it a day. Just wigged it in a glass.
Exactly. Yes. And it doesn't have that kind of the lack of that bigger body and creaminess in the body. Doesn't feel oily. It hasn't got that sort of syrupy, oily kind of taste to it, which is great. They haven't, as you say, they haven't just chucked that in and kind of replaced that to give it something else. It's just a little bit thin. That's all. But very, very easy to drink. So yeah, that's Love Unlimited. We will move on. We haven't got a huge amount of time left, so I may concede my time this week and say, Aadil, what would you like to chat about? Unless
I
mean,
the eyes say it all.
I can talk about things. I know. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but last week we was pre-Outriders, pre-FF.
So it was Outriders. We did discuss Outriders last week.
Oh, we did. Yeah, right, because we had to swap on the Thursday.
Yes, but we hadn't discussed. We've not discussed Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, which I'm fine with pushing to next week because we're gonna do some.
So
because we're gonna actually play together, which is a big part of that game tomorrow.
So my topic was Final Fantasy 14 adjacent, but I wasn't going to talk about the actual game.
Because you were going to talk about a thing about a game rather than the game, and I was curious of what that thing was. But we'll deal with that next week. But I guess I'll talk about the couple of games I've played since last week. I played a couple on stream this afternoon. One of which was ostensibly the ideal of, because I love bad movies. Like I said, we hate movies is a bad movie podcast, and it's the only podcast I've kept up with during the pandemic. And I played this game. I have forgotten the name of. It's Dracula Versus the Ninja on the Moon. I think I'm getting that wrong. Hold on, let me just open
Dracula versus Ninja on the Moon.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
This is like Castlevania game I'm playing.
No.
Funny man.
No, it really is not.
It is not. No, it is a FMV game.
When was this released?
Yeah, Dracula. It was released last week. It is an FMV game that is so in this interactive FMV experience, you watch the classic So Bad It's Awful film on a dodgy bootleg VHS. Your goal is to watch the film in its entirety by adjusting the VCR's tracking. So basically, the game works as follows. There are multiple clips of the game, and between the clips, your tracking might go off, or it might not. And so you have a left arrow and a right arrow to click to fix the tracking. Depending on if you get the tracking right or wrong, it will either go to one clip or another clip, potentially, from what I understand. So there's some footage that you won't see on your first playthrough. The whole thing takes about 35 minutes.
It's her, basically.
I love bad movies. This is clearly an actual bad movie. You look into it, and Let's Go to the Grindhouse, which is the dev and publisher, is run by Nick something or other. Sorry, I can't remember his name.
Nick Box.
Yeah, Nick Box, something like that.
Yeah.
And he basically is a indie horror genre filmmaker. who has realized that wrapping some of what he does, like, so this was basically literally according to what he's saying, is like a bunch of clips that never made it to become a movie. He made into this. So part of it is, look, gameplay wise, well, not a lot of gameplay. It's sometimes between scenes, tracking will either be left or right, and it's just a roll of the die whether you click the right one. I managed to crash it because that's what I'm good at. And when I crashed it, and I went back, we saw scenes we hadn't seen before, so that claim is true. There's some branching. There might be. It says in the Steam page multiple endings. I'm sure. One of the problems though is it's basically just a video player, and if you click, your cursor is just like a tiny play button. If you click on the active scene, so basically it's like a screen, and then to the left of it is a double arrow, and to the right of it is a double arrow, and those, when it says, it'll just be like adjust tracking, and you pick one of those until you get to the an actual scene. But if you click on the active video, because it's clearly just a flash player, it assumes you are saying, I'm done with this, and skips that entire section of the film and goes to the next section of the film, which isn't great.
Yeah.
The whole point is, like, that's not part of the tracking thing. It did mean that when I fucked up, I could, like, skip all the intro stuff I had already seen. But also, once I realized that there was, like, potential branching paths, I'm like, oh, have I accidentally skipped past them?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shitty gameplay loop that's garbage. Having said that, I like bad movies. I like the idea of wrapping it around something really simplistic. At time of recording, you can get 15% off of this, so it's being sold for a whopping 67 pence.
They should have made it 69, just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I'm pretty sure that what that means is that its regular price is 99 cents US. Because it's 79p regular. And that's fine, right? Like, all these reservations I was saying, like, it's not a real game, there's no gameplay loop. Like, yeah, I clicked the things and I did the thing, and I like the idea that if I wanted to do it again, might be slightly different. The fact that I didn't know, so the biggest thing is that I think it's a bug that clicking in the middle skips things, because I was like, oh, did that skip a thing? And then I was like experimenting, and then I clicked probably too many times and I skipped through the credits, and instead of going back to the main menu, the whole thing just died. But the premise of the game is, again, like,
it's her story.
Your goal is to watch the film in its entirety by adjusting its tracking. So, like, if the goal is to watch it, then presumably skipping scenes is failing at that. But also, I did the let go, watch the whole credits thing, and there was no, like, gameplay around that, which, like, oh, you watched 23 uninterrupted minutes, or you skipped, like, that would have been enough for me to be like, you made a game out of this. But actually, you kind of didn't, and it was kind of disappointing that they were saying there's a gameplay loop here, which is watch it unimpeded. And even if it was a glitch that they realized, like, oh, if you click in the middle, you skip scenes, if that became a thing of, like, you skipped this many minutes, fuck you. Like there's a way of making this more interesting and more gameplay loopy. And it's not a lot of coding, right? It's just treating it like a game versus a way to reuse footage. And that's kind of where it didn't work for me. But so then it just is like, pay 67 pence for a bad movie to watch with your friends or when you're high or whatever. But also, randomly, every once in a while, you might have to click a button to make the tracking go.
It's good that the price of admission is not high, because otherwise it would have been very cynical if this is something that just could have gone on, like, Vimeo or something.
Absolutely,
like
and it's a good marketing tool. It just definitely put that name in my head to then go and find these films to look at them, and some of the the ways that they were kind of the shots were edited and some of the acting stuff. There was moments that we saw multiple times where it, like, one of the characters is like, I'm going to do I did this, and it was like, no you didn't. He's like, yes I did. It slows it all down. It's like, oh my god, this is brilliant. Like, some of those scenes are just so ridiculous. And I on your second playthrough, there was something we hadn't seen on the first, and it kept using exactly the same shot of a guy who was in a spaceship. Yeah, just a spaceship moving, so the guy could talk, and then it cut back to the characters who were talking to the guy in the spaceship, then back to that exact same shot for that guy in the spaceship. It's just like, oh, this works brilliantly.
The devs are on the Twitch right now.
Oh wow!
Hey, sorry, yeah. So I don't know if you caught our conversation. We really liked the filmic part, but we were just saying that some of the gameplay was, I guess the loop that the description said, which is like, hey, watch as much as you can. It would have been nice to see like a tally at the end of how much you missed because of the tracking errors or because of like getting a different path, as well as, I don't know can you answer this question actually? So clicking on the screen seemed to be like a chapter forward click. So like, which was useful on my second playthrough, where it's like, the ninjas are afraid of rain, which is a great sequence. But like, primer about ninjas, it's like, I've seen this, and I click in the middle and it skips to the next chunk. But also I didn't realize that until partway through my first playthrough, where I was just like, oh, what can I do? And it clicked and it would like jump. And then I didn't get to see this very enjoyable footage because I accidentally clicked through, and actually I ended up kind of crashing the game because I was like, oh, does clicking jump forward? So I'm just wondering.
There you go. It's a bug. I'm literally fixing the click to skip as we speak. It's confusing people. There you go.
Cool. But yeah, so I think that would do a lot to help, and then but also, like, again, wrapping it with like some notion of the difference between playthroughs, like some sort of tally or minutes seen, like something like that would really help the game side. The film side was really enjoyable. We really liked it, and I enjoyed the fact that I saw new scenes the second time around when I accidentally crashed it. But it would be nice to see the game side sort of balance that out with, like I said, even just a simple tally. Like, I don't think it's a huge difference. It's just sort of acknowledging when you were playing, you did these things. Anyway, so those are like my general thoughts. Ben, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think as a viewer, rather than the participant playing through, it was very enjoyable. Had this been something that we'd been like sat on the sofa together playing, and had I have, even if I had been in, on the Discord in the chat rather than being a, not an active participant.
You mean on the voice?
Had we have been on, had I have been chatting as well on the stream, and I'd been an active participant rather than just watching what you were doing, it would have been even better, because we'd have been able to discuss what was going on with these people, the characters, and the absolute absurdity and the ridiculousness, and the complete sort of B-movie side of all of these things, like that worked very, very well. And we had, like, we talked about the idea that it seems like it's almost a video that was sort of recorded and then bits have been sort of taped over, kind of, someone's gone, oh, I'll just record this on this random tape I've got in the player. So when you're tracking through, it kind of almost feels like it's skipping. It's not skipping, but it's like you cut to something that has been randomly recorded in the middle of it, and someone's gone, oh, I could splice these things together to try, like mixtapes of old and video cassettes of old and stuff.
It's like a GCSE media group shot of making a film or something.
It does feel like that.
Of like, we needed a GCSE. We needed to splice this thing together.
Yeah.
Here you go, teacher. Give us an A.
So just the note in the chat. Basically, I was an underground filmmaker for 15 years. Did fairly well at it. Won some awards. Had a film at Cannes and stuff in Walmart in the States, and recently been converting all my old work into games. That's really cool. And so one thing I wanted to say in general was I really like. I was going to call it the hustle of like, hey, I've got this movie that maybe didn't get distribution or whatever, or maybe did, but like this idea of this is a unique way of repackaging it and getting my art to an audience. And I really respect that. I loved that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm literally just going to watch this like Dracula versus the Ninja on the Moon movie. And like Ben said, I've hosted movie nights in the past, and like if we weren't in the way the world was, I would have played this with 5 friends in the room, and you know, maybe taking shifts clicking, paying attention to clicking on the tracking or whatever. What I'm super curious about though is kind of like I've taken a look at the other games you've got on Steam, and it's like I'm super interested in like what the interactivity that you're layering on to these sort of movie projects are, because like this one's pretty light, right? Just tracking errors, and like they may or may not lead to the same scene twice, and I don't know what algorithm you've got to like pick when a scene comes or doesn't, but
Nice.
so I what I would love to see is like leaning into that dev side and figuring how to like not only still show these movies, right, but also make that gameplay loop more satisfying, such that if you weren't a fan of big movies, you still might want to watch the thing.
So we response wise to your question, they vary they vary
Thanks,
in interactivity at the moment. They're light, but this has the least. But also, Drac Ninja was from back in 2008, and it went viral around the uni campus people watching when stoned. This one I kind of buried because it was so bad. Then last year, AVGN unintentionally promoted it, so I whipped it up for a jam and figured I'd try it as a sub £1 game. The upcoming games are more gamey. So it's
cool.
Definitely it'd be good to. So whilst you're here chatting to us, let's go to the Grindhouse. It would be really good to know: does it retain that kind of that vibe? Is it still this sort of similar kind of genre, just with a little bit more interactivity to it? Because I think that is the key selling point to this. The key selling point is absolutely that FMV
the
element,
video.
but not just FM. We're not talking about kind of these mid-tier Wales interactive FMV style games, like the Complex or the Bunker and those sorts of things. Yeah, Late Shift, that kind of thing. Like, absolutely, the selling point for this is that very hammy, ridiculous, yet absolutely enjoyable sort of movie element to it.
Because him saying that it was from 2008 and it was very early in his filmmaking career. That kind of gels better with me, because a lot of the times you find these games nowadays that are, FMV games back in the day, they thought they were saying something, poignant, and they thought they were, they had, too much budget most of the time, and these actors, and it's like, they really do not hold up. Like something like Tender Loving Care, which is just shocking and doesn't hold up in so many ways. But it's like they thought they were making something poignant, and it's like, no, this is, when you're looking at it through a lens now, it's awful. So I think a lot of games nowadays try and capture that hokey, hammy kind of thing, but making something that was literally made last week or a year ago, intentionally trying to capture that. Whereas knowing this was actually from over 10 years ago, and this was very, you know, them in their prime, sits better with me, because it's like they weren't literally trying to go for that. This is just like, oh, I found some footage from all that time ago, and look how it looks now, and reflecting on that. I prefer that rather than trying to make something just for a gag nowadays.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
It's the like irony, like reveling in the irony of what you're doing versus just doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I think the post 2010, when you had films like The Room and Birdemic and stuff like on the books, people pursued those. So let's go to the Grindhouse. Says, I did some films for Trauma, so it's all this kind of stuff in the early days. Trauma, OG, bad movie genre films. I don't know how to like say it without. I don't mean to say that pejoratively, but I think if you know Trauma, you know what I'm trying to say. The '90s mega CD stuff was my obsession as a teen. For some of my titles, I've tried to go more like that. I made one like Night Trap, but you're Christ-killing junkies. Wow, nice. So yeah, I'm super interested in all the other things you've done. That sounds great. I mean,
curious like this on Steam, which aren't just like asset flips, and there's actually been some, you know, you can see the author behind it, and they've actually put some work into it, even if it was like 13 years ago. Even if surface level, the gameplay may not seem like a lot of work. I'm sure it was. I'm not trying to be disparaging that way, but if it doesn't seem like the gameplay is a lot of work, no, they still filmed this. This was still their work. And so, like, yeah, paying 60-70 for. I love one of the reviews on Steam where it's like, don't know how high you have to be to enjoy this, but I enjoyed it. I mean, that's great. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Almost the perfect review.
It is, yeah. It's good because you see so many games like this just get flooded out in the market on Steam, and it's hard for things to rise to the top. Where it's like, yes, I'm sure he's not the only one making something like this, but it's good to see that something like this, where it actually has blood, sweat, and tears put into it, and not an asset flip, anime titty puzzle game or something like that.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure those devs put some work into it.
Someone's got to draw those titties, Lucy.
Someone's got to animate the juggle.
Someone's got to animate the jiggle physics. So.
Yeah, gigolos they call them.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's go to the Grindhouse for joining us for that brief amount of time. I love it. I love that you've just dropped
really
in.
Great. I'm so
it's
glad
amazing.
You stumbled upon us.
Yeah. Good. Let's finish our chat on, what was it? Dracula Versus Ninja on the Moon is the full title of that game, I think. Absolutely.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's absolutely the theme to Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
That's great.
Ties in. We've come full circle. Perfect. As we do every week. Almost. Let's finish there and talk about then the beers that we have drank this evening. Lucy, out of the two, you had the aptly named Juicy Loose. No, not even Juicy Loose.
Right,
Juicy Lucy. Aptly named Juicy Lucy. Or the Mash Bandicoot, the video game themed one. Did you have a preference?
Yeah, the Mash Bandicoot was good. Very enjoyable. Pleasant beer. Very much, just good for like conversation. Just sipping on it, enjoying it, having a nice conversation, not thinking too much about the beer, but it's doing its job. The Juicy Lucy is just wasn't what I expected. Like I bought it and I didn't even know what style it was. It's like, of course I'm going to buy it. I'm going to put it on the shelf. It says Juicy Lucy. When I first saw it, it's like when I took it out of the box, I was like, oh, it's a sour. It's like, okay, probably not what I'm going to fancy tonight, but I'll drink it anyway. But it really surprised me because they pack so much fruit into it, and you can tell that it wasn't anything like no adjuncts, no artificial additives or anything like that. It was just purely fruit in it. But that being said, it wasn't too tart. It had, I'd say it's more sweet than sour. But yeah, those oats. I think the oats and the lactose just capped it off. If they didn't have those, I think it'd just be like, yeah, another very fruit forward, fruity sour. We've had plenty on here that focus on like red berries and stuff like this. But as I say, this is what I wish milkshake IPAs would taste like, because when you're looking for a milkshake IPA, it doesn't necessarily shout that it's like, okay, I'm gonna reach for a beer. I want a beer.
Yeah.
You want something different. You want something, a bit jazzy. But this is a very pleasant tasting beverage. Maybe not very beery, but it's a very pleasant tasting beverage, and it's just really good. Like it doesn't cut any corners. It commits fully, and it just does it well.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be seeking out Play Brew up in Middlesbrough a bit more,
Good.
and telling them I want my commission for using my name.
But also, I have to say that can is just. Mwah. Surely you're going to give that one a run.
Yeah, it's got this very pop.
Is that like a peelable label one?
I was looking. It is, yeah. But I'm just going to keep it.
Nice.
I mean, having said that, I think the Filthy Casual one I have in the background, there. Oh, wait. Fuck you, algorithm. Look,
the 4
people
pixels.
Can read it. It doesn't matter. I realized I was just wasting everyone's time with like, I can play with blurry thing. Yeah, I mean, I like it in can form. I could have peeled the label off, but I think, but now it needs a friend. I need to find another apt sort of weird and
hardcore gamer.
Is there any other type of gamer? If you're not hardcore, are you even a gamer? Hey, gamers. Hardcore or nothing.
I don't think beer's got any chance. There's all the energy drinks are all willing on that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we need the gamers TM on a can.
Hey gamers, we've put taurine into our beer. Do you like Stella? What if Stella was with wings? I got nothing. I lost it midstream. I was like, I hate this premise. It probably will exist in a year. Fucking alcoholic Red Bull, whatever. If it doesn't already.
Fallout beer. That Fallout, was it? Is it Heineken or something?
I forgot about that one.
I can't remember what it was. Nuka Cola's the drinking Fallout, isn't it? I can't remember what they called the beer. Slurm comes to mind, but that's Futurama. It tasted like Slurm. No, Slurm actually tasted good, actually. That beer tasted good. So,
it definitely, they managed to animate it perfectly where you're like, that's disgusting and terrible, but also, I really want to try it.
Slurm looks good. I don't care what anyone says. Doesn't matter, it comes out of... Well, we don't need to go there, but yeah. Slurm looked good. And what was it, Popples or whatever? That were actually huge,
Popples.
Like
no. Yeah. Poplars. The Poplars with Poplars, which is a riff on the Trouble with Tribbles. It was these little babies who were basically the best, like, deep fried scampi / chicken McNuggets or whatever. And
so many of them. I would have wiped out that whole race and felt no guilt because they look so good.
Yeah.
Succulent. Aadil, we'll come to you. Did you have a preference this week from the collab Wiper True Deya or the Pentrich?
It's a tough one. So they're both.
Well, you instantly just said yes.
Sorry?
Like, yes. So did you have a preference? You're like, yes.
Yeah, I have a preference.
Oh. And then you're saying it's a tough one.
It was easy.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
What the fuck is wrong with you? We're not allowed to say I have a...
It's because he was so, ashamed of going down the middle last week and just choosing both.
I don't think I've ever gone down the middle. I mean, dedicated viewers prove me wrong. I mean, go for it. We're on Spotify. You can go through all those episodes. I really like the smoked porter. I think it might have been the fact that I love how subtle it is. I love the fact that I have 3, but I was expecting that I could only have 1, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when you grab a 7.6% smoked porter, you're expecting kind of more of a smoke bomb. And while knowing that about this beer now, I'm like, oh, this is really great in interesting ways, because I could have it. It could be the beer I choose for the night. But I was a little let down by the fact that it just wasn't as smoky as I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I mean, it's Wiper True and Deya together. Like, that's almost impossible to beat them generally, let alone together. It's
Forced to be
such a
reckoned with.
well-made beer. It is exactly. So their mixed fermentation IPA, I would say, is the middle ground for most people's IPAs and pale ales, and by that I mean it's because again, it's nuanced. It's Wiper and True. It's not doing everything really forcefully. You could, if you like pale ales, you'll like this. If you like IPAs, and because of like the taste profile, you'll like this. But it is a pretty reserved IPA as far as like forcefulness.
Mm-hmm.
But it, in the way that it kind of gets away with that, because you're fine with sort of a less forceful IPA in a different way than you're like, this smoked porter is less forceful. Like, I honestly think it comes down to they're both nuanced versions of what they could be, and the general market will make it like, and then some. And the mixed fermentation IPA just gets like, it's just a class where you're allowed to be more reserved. But also, I think, the way the taste interplayed was just a little more interesting. Like I said, the stone fruit and the sweetness, and the slightly tropicaliness, along with the Brett D, just was more rounded than in the Plan D.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep looking back because I can't remember what it's called, because it's such a non-name. While the Welcome to the Bleak was really good, and it's a smoked porter I could have multiple of, which I didn't think was possible, but it just didn't have quite as much depth. It's just, so it has the nuance but not the depth.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I think the Wiper True collaboration 18 Plan D with Deya is my beer of the week.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. I'm sticking with Bristol for my beer of the week. Going with the good chemistry. Both nice beers. The Neon Raptor was very easy. I think that slight acidic sweetness that it had to it was just a little bit off-putting from the rest of the flavour. Like, it all came together for a very nice fruity flavour towards the end, after showing off the different fruits that were in there. But the good chemistry balanced that chocolate, balanced those roasted notes versus that heat from those chilies and that sweetness very, very well. We sort of sat on our first beers a little bit longer than we did our second, and I absolutely nailed that good chemistry. It went back so quickly, and even with me at the beginning saying it's a little bit light, it's maybe a little bit thin, I think it actually added to the ease of drinking, perhaps. You know, it didn't have that body to it, didn't have that slight thickness to it, which may have made me sup it a little bit slower. That thinness to it actually benefited the beer, at least in terms of me drinking it quite swiftly. And I mean, I very much have both of those beers right now as well. But usually when you have a chili stout or a chili chocolate stout, you're like, one and done. Yeah, that was nice. I really like those flavors. I don't really want any more. This was just ridiculously well balanced and very, very easy to drink. And I could crack another can right now without feeling too overpowered by any of those flavors. So it's just very, very well balanced. And an easy pick, even though the Neon Raptor was very, very good as well.
Nice. Good beers all around this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
Good. They're the beers, they're the games for us this week. If you'd like to talk to us about the beers that you're drinking or the games that you've been playing, you can do so at TankedUpCast on most of the socials. You can also go to outoflives.net or outoflivesnet on Twitter as well. You can catch us here almost each and every day. We have various shows on the Twitch and various shows on our YouTube channel as well, as we replicate those over for your viewing pleasure whenever you want to catch up with us. Obviously, if you're feeling generous, subscribe in your podcast service of choice: Spotify, iTunes, Pocket Casts, anything. We're on everything. Rate and review us if you've got some time and you feel a little bit generous. I'm at Nova_47 if you'd like to get in touch with me, play some games or something. Lucy
play Final Fantasy 14 with them. Yeah, do that.
It's coming.
If you want
It's coming.
destroy
Final Fantasy
your
14.
life,
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're getting there.
Crystals,
If you want to...
chocobos.
Crystals, mate. It's always fucking crystals.
Cloud.
Final Fantasy and crystals. All the
No,
time.
that's just FF7. You have to go to the broad Final Fantasy tropes. I said materia and I should have. It's going to be just crystals, and chocobos and political strife.
They're all in Final Fantasy 14. I'll talk about.
Final Fantasy.
I wanted to talk about comfort, right? Comfort food in games. I previously put on an article about Final Fantasy 7 on outoflives.net about how it was comfort for me during lockdown. Final Fantasy 14, now I've started it, it's just filling in that a little bit as well. So I was going to have a chat about that. We'll talk about that next week. Yes, thank you again, Let's Go to the Grindhouse, for joining us and giving us a little bit of insight into the game as well. Lucy, if people want to talk to you, where do they go?
Juicy Loose 9.
So now you need to find 8 more tins, so then you can have Juicy Loose 9.
Or you can find me at the bottom of a can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Just because in this bleak Pentrich universe.
Hey.
How do people talk to you?
Hopefully politely.
Nice, yes, obviously.
Yeah, you can reach me at on Omniarch on all the things except Twitch, where I'm _Omniarch, but I haven't streamed in a while. I think it's been months, but I might jump back on. So that's how you can reach me. If you enjoy my streams and whatnot, message, etc. And you can check the VOD on Twitch or YouTube of my playthroughs of Dracula versus the Ninja on the Moon. Nailed it. As
Sequel
well as
to
all
the
kinds
Wizard
of
of
other as well as all kinds of other games that are new, because I do new games every Tuesday.
You've been playing the whole gamut of games.
Oh yeah,
a
lot of card games, because that's apparently my default. But also,
but still a lot of, you play everything, everything new.
That's actually why I like the show, is because it's like, oh shit, I need a game that's new. And sometimes they're like, keys are not great. It's like, by not great I mean it's like not something I'm like super enthused on. It's like, I really wanted to play this. It's like, I'll try this. So like, after I played Dracula versus etc., I played some tiny
Shot.
Thank you. I can never remember. And it's a like twitchy roguelike, which I'm not good at, but I played for 45 minutes and it was enjoyable, even though I'm sure anyone watching was like, how is he not passing level 1? Spoiler alert on that VOD, I never passed level 1. I did get to the boss several times.
Big tree.
But I never passed level 1.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's what I like. Just, I want you to run through every genre of video game there has ever been on that, And I think
you'll get it.
We can get a list.
Yeah.
We'll get a list going.
Yep.
Get yourself some potatoes. You got yourself a stew.
Wait, I can get potatoes? Whoa. Were there potatoes that I could have got, but I didn't get to get?
I don't know. Don't know why I'm thinking about Carl Weathers. That's it. I mean, it's a good place for us to finish. If you'd like to talk to us more, you can also come over to the Out of Lives Discord. We can chuck a link up at the end of this. Or come to our Out of Lives Net Twitter to find probably a link to the Discord somewhere in there, maybe. But come and talk to us. Come talk to us about beer, come talk to us about video games, come talk to us about movies, whatever you want to. We are here, and we are happy to chat with you. For another week then, we have been Tanked Up. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you. Who doesn't think about Carl Weathers?
I mean,
people who are dead inside.
All the time.
But also,
every day.
ciao.
www.outoflives.net